How much trust do you place in the book you hold in your hands? Do you believe that the text inside has been copied accurately, meticulously, across thousands of years? What if I told you that, before 1947, the oldest complete copy of the Hebrew Old Testament we possessed dated all the way to the 10th century A.D.? That created a silent gap, a chasm of more than 1,000 years between when the original words were written and our oldest surviving copy. For centuries, that gap was a matter of faith. How could we ever be certain that nothing was changed, lost, or added across a millennium of copying by hand? The answer would come from the most unlikely of places. It would be found when a shepherd boy threw a stone. The year is 1947. We are in the Judean desert, a place of stark and silent beauty. A young shepherd, Muhammad edh-Dhib, is searching for a lost goat from his flock. Hoping to startle the animal out, he throws the stone into the dark recess of the cave, but instead of the familiar thud of stone on rock. Curiosity piqued, he and a friend later climb up and squeeze into the opening. Their eyes adjust to the gloom, and what they see is not a goat, but a collection of tall, clay jars lining the cave wall. Inside, they discovered old scrolls of leather, carefully wrapped in linen. They had no idea of their value. To them, this was just old leather, perhaps useful for mending a sandal. But these fragile, seemingly worthless scrolls would ignite a revolution in archaeology and biblical studies. What were they, really? Who wrote them? And why hide them in a cave? And most importantly, how would they forever change our understanding of the most influential book in human history? The answer to that question begins not in a quiet library, but in the dusty back alleys of a Bethlehem marketplace. The journey of these scrolls from obscurity to global significance is a dramatic story of chance, scholarship, and a frantic race against time. The shepherd, Muhammad edh-Dhib, eventually brought his discovery to an antiquities dealer in Bethlehem known as Kondo. It was here, amidst the ordinary trade of ancient coins and pottery, that the scrolls began their improbable journey into the light. Word of the strange manuscripts reached the ears of scholars. At the American School of Oriental Research, a young scholar named John C. Trevor was the first to photograph the scrolls. When he saw the ancient Hebrew script, a form he recognized from the oldest texts known to exist, he realized he was looking at something extraordinary. His hands must have been shaking. For a biblical scholar, this was like a physicist discovering a new law of nature. At the same time, Professor Eliezer Sukenik of the Hebrew University, recognizing their immense importance, risked traveling through dangerous territory to acquire the first 3 scrolls for the Jewish people. The secret was out. Suddenly, a mad dash was on. A treasure hunt of epic proportions erupted in the Judean desert. The local Bedouin, with their intimate knowledge of the terrain, began scouring the cliffs for more leather, hoping for a windfall. At the same time, the academic world scrambled to launch official expeditions. It was a desperate race to see who could find the next cave first. Archaeologist Roland Deveau led the official efforts, a painstaking operation that involved systematically exploring hundreds of caves. The work was brutal, conducted under a punishing sun, carefully sifting through centuries of debris for the tiniest of fragments. In the end, the combined efforts of the Bedouin and the archaeologists unearthed a literary treasure trove beyond anyone's wildest dreams. A total of 11 caves yielded their secrets, revealing tens of thousands of fragments from over 900 different ancient manuscripts. An entire library, frozen in time for 2,000 years, had been found. But the biggest question remained: what did it all say? As scholars began the monumental task of piecing together this ancient puzzle, they discovered the texts could be sorted into three main categories. First, and most electrifying, were the biblical texts. The caves contained portions of every single book of the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, with the one exception of the book of Esther. The crown jewel was the great Isaiah scroll. Found in Cave 1, it was a nearly complete copy of the book of Isaiah. When scholars compared this 2,000-year-old scroll to the standard Hebrew text from the Middle Ages, the version our modern Bibles are based on, they were stunned. Despite being over 1,000 years older, the text was over 95% identical, with most differences being minor spelling variations or scribal slips. It was breathtaking proof of the incredible care and accuracy of the scribes who had transmitted the Bible through the centuries. The second category contained what are known as apocryphal or pseudepigraphal texts. Think of them as the director's cuts or deleted scenes of ancient Jewish faith books, like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, that were widely read and respected, but ultimately not included in the final cut of the official Bible. This revealed that the Bible in the time of Jesus was not a closed, rigid list of books. It was a more fluid and diverse collection of sacred literature. But it was the third category that provided the most surprising revelations: the sectarian texts. These were the private documents of the community that lived at Qumran, believed to be a strict Jewish sect known as the Essenes. Writings like the Community Rule laid out their disciplined way of life, while the War Scroll described their apocalyptic vision of a final battle between the sons of light and the sons of darkness. For the first time, we had a direct window into the beliefs of a fervent Jewish community awaiting the Messiah at the dawn of Christianity. From a single stone cast by a shepherd boy, an entire library was resurrected from the dust. The Dead Sea Scrolls filled the great thousand-year gap in the history of the Bible, providing a tangible link to a past that was once accessible only through faith. This discovery did not destroy faith, as some had once feared. On the contrary, it profoundly enriched our understanding. It proved that the Bible did not exist in a divine vacuum, but was born, copied, and cherished by real people in a real and often turbulent historical context. They are, without question, the most important archaeological discovery of the 20th century. An echo from the desert, a testament to the endurance of ancient words. They don't just tell us about the past. They allow us to listen in on the conversations that shaped our world. The scrolls tell a story of faith and endurance, written in the desert, far from the epicenters of power. But at the very same time, another story was being written, not on humble leather, but in colossal stones and gleaming marble. It was the story of one man whose ambition reshaped the very land these people walked on, a master builder and a monster. A man who ruled Judea with an iron fist for Rome, and whose paranoia led him to commit unspeakable acts. In our next video, we uncover the man behind the monuments. Join us as we explore the genius, the madness, and the bloody legacy of King Herod the Great. You won't want to miss it.